Look at this. Look at this. Heavy rain now, and I don't have an umbrella. Hello there. It is a Wednesday afternoon, not morning, unfortunately, because if it were morning, then it would still be raining, and I'd be able to call this video a rainy nature walk in the city, which is what I'd originally wanted to do. But, you know, there was rain all day in the forecast today, but it stopped. It stopped about 2 hours ago. So just to give you a sense of where I am, if you look at a map of Seoul, I'm kind of like in a foothill of Namsan, which is the small mountain or big hill, you might say, that's in central Seoul. Namsan Seoul Tower, N Seoul Tower, sits on top of it. I brought you out here once already when I did a video called A Wintry Nature Walk in the City or Through the City. And I showed you parts of this trail here in this area and over on a hill called Maebongsan, just over that way. We are going to go to Maebongsan in just a minute here again, but I'm going to show you some different parts of it. And actually, I'm going to take you on a walk beyond Maebongsan. Last time I was here with you, I just showed you I confined myself to Maebongsan. This time we're going to go beyond it a little bit. Now, you've got a couple of different well-known trails here. One of them is the City Wall Trail, and it's just behind us, just over there, part of the City Wall Trail, and that continues on over to Namsan. And this trail we're on right now, this is the Seoul Forest Namsan Trail, or maybe it's called the Namsan Seoul Forest Trail. I don't remember exactly which one's first. But this is a trail that runs all the way from Namsan across Maebongsan over here and on to another little hill and across a tributary of the Han River, and then finally into Seoul Forest. It's a good little walk, and it goes through some nice scenery. Parts of it are actually on the city streets, but most of it is through greenery like this. Now, here where I'm at, they're doing some work here, and this is pretty cool, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But they are building or preparing to construct what I think is going to be a boardwalk on a new path through here down below. Until recently, this was all just vegetation, right? There was nothing here, but they cleared this path through here, and they've got all these blocks here that are going to form, I assume, the foundations of the posts for the boardwalk. And this is pretty cool because what it does is it makes these trails accessible. And I'll show you there. They've got the path marked out. I think the boardwalk's going to come this way, looks like. And you've got more stuff here. And this actually, this leads to Namsan if you keep going this way, but we're not going this way. But right down here, yeah, here it is. Seoul Forest comes first. Seoul Forest, Namsan Gil, Namsan Trail, Seoul Forest, Namsan Trail. So if we come down here, we see that they've got more cleared out here for that boardwalk, and it looks like they're going to bring it around. It's just going to swing around and come down here. And what this is going to do, it's going to bypass steps, it's going to bypass difficult slopes, and I say difficult, I mean difficult for people who need accessibility, elderly people who have difficulty walking, you know, that kind of thing. So this is actually a bridge we're on. I don't know if you can see, but the street is right down below us. And there's a little tunnel that goes under the bridge. And I remember they built this probably sometime between 2004 and 2014, because I'm pretty sure I was living in Hanamdong at the time. My wife and I were living in Hanamdong at the time that they constructed this. I'm pretty sure that's when they built the entire Seoul Forest Namsan Trail. And since they've done that, I mean, we just, even before we moved to this neighborhood, we enjoyed coming out here and walking this path. So the last time I brought you through here, I didn't show you this. I actually cut this. And this boardwalk right here was under construction. This is what it looks like now. But when I came through here filming that winter video, it was still under construction. I think it opened maybe in April or May. And the reason this is so cool is because, you know, there was nothing here before. Before, you had to go up these steps, right? But now you can go on this boardwalk and it is long, right? It takes you across the side of the hill here on Maebongsan and up around a higher point on the slope and then around to the other side. So you don't have to go up all the steep staircases that they have here on Maebongsan to get to the other side. Now, you don't get the views that you get from the steep staircases, but you do get to come out in nature if you can't make it up those steps. And I understood the value of that, really. I mean, I see a lot of elderly people in Seoul hiking further and faster than I can in many cases. There are a lot of very active, very fit elderly people here, but there are also some who are not so mobile. And a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I were here walking our dogs on this boardwalk, and we passed an elderly man who was, you know, shuffling and had a cane. He would not be able to go out here and experience all of this if this boardwalk weren't here. He would have had too much difficulty getting up and down those steps. So I really love that they've constructed this. So recently they built this deck with the tables. You can stop here, rest, have a picnic, whatever. Now, you know, this may not seem like a big deal, but man, is it a big deal if you've lived in Seoul for a long time. The infrastructure for nature trails in the city, you know, not just the hiking trails on the mountains that ring the city, but the nature trails in the parks, on the hills in the city, they just keep getting better and better. Yeah. And I mean, look at this. Obviously, if you need accessibility, you're not going to be able to come on this part of the trail, but there is that big wide path up there that used to be a road. Actually, a section of it is a road up ahead, but I mean, you've got that, you can walk on up there, and it goes around to the same place that these trails do. And then there is a boardwalk, another boardwalk that you can get on that they've recently constructed. So it's just really cool that they're building up all this stuff all over the city for people to take advantage of on their days off. Retired people make daily walks through parks like this, and they use some of the exercise equipment that's scattered around. It encourages, fitness. It's just for all ages, and I just absolutely love it. So here we go. Here's some of that exercise equipment. We're going to go this way in a minute, but here's some of this exercise equipment up here. And it's sprinkling again, so maybe I'll get lucky and I'll be able to call it a rainy day or a rainy nature walk after all. Yeah, some of these are standard. You'll find them at any little spot like this one right here that has the thing where you twist back and forth. These things are in every one of the little exercise places. You'll see some of these. Usually they're detached though. Usually you'll have two of the spin things. But they've got some stuff here that you don't see in every exercise park. Here's a leg press, stepper, leg lift, raises, whatever you want to call them. Look at all this. Yeah. So during the pandemic, I came through here with a couple of friends. You know, we came up the street here. The boardwalk wasn't here. We came up the street and came through the park, and we all had our masks down because, you know, going on a walk like this with masks is a little uncomfortable. But there were some, I don't know what you'd call them, some kind of monitors, I guess, officials, people employed by the local government to remind people to wear their masks, basically, in public spaces. So as we're coming through the park, they're like, "Oh, mask, please, mask, please." Yeah, okay. So, because masks were mandatory here during the pandemic. Not initially, because here's the thing: wearing masks in Korea was not a big deal, because a lot of people often wore masks already during the spring, especially when you get the heavy yellow dust blowing in from China. And on the other days when the pollution is so heavy, you can feel it in the back of your throat. So on days like that, quite a number of people would wear masks already. And those days are rare. You know, I don't want to give the impression that they're common. They're not. Those days are very rare. But some people definitely would wear their masks more often because they're maybe more sensitive to the pollution, or they're more worried about it. But when the pandemic came, the government did not initially regulate or mandate. They didn't initially mandate the wearing of masks all the time, only in certain places, like on buses and subways and restaurants, that kind of thing. But people were wearing them most of the time. Most people were wearing them outside anyway. And I think it was in November of 2020, after the pandemic had already been going for a while, a few months, that they did finally mandate masks everywhere outside. And people just did it. Yeah, not a big deal. All right, so here's a good look at the trail. Notice that it's in total 8.4 kilometers. We're not doing the whole thing. It officially starts at Seoul Tower, I guess, but that means you've got to get up to Seoul Tower to start it. Or I guess maybe you might call it the end if you start at Seoul Forest. But if you're starting from this end, you got to get up here so you'll have more distance. And you see, this is the City Wall Trail right here. And that actually continues around this way. And the Seoul Forest Namsan Trail. And this way we started. Yeah, this is Maebongsan. Okay. We actually took a detour, but we started filming over here. Yeah, we were in this area. And that's the bridge I talked about where the tunnel goes through it. And we ended up going through here. We didn't cut around like that, so I guess we cheated, huh? But yeah, so now we are right here. And here you can see Eunbong Kongwan, Eunbong Park. That's a very interesting park. And then we're going to come through here, Daehyunsan Kongwan. There's this big park here, which is pretty cool. And then you've got Eunbongsan. And there's a little pavilion up at the top. And we're probably, yeah, there's the pavilion right there. This is pretty cool because it's visible from the bridges down here. We're probably going to stop right there. I don't know if I'm going to walk all the way to Seoul Forest this afternoon. I might just stop the video here and turn around and go back and go to Seoul Forest on another day. Today's not the kind of day that you want to go to Seoul Forest. But yeah, so this is where we're really going to be going into the city a little bit in this next little stretch here. So let's keep going, eh? Okay, so we just came down right over right over there on that little path. And we're between a couple of subway stations here. Just off in this direction, up at the next intersection, is Cheonggu Station. And if you saw my video about Dongmyo Flea Market, Central Market, Seoul Central Market, and a local little neighborhood market in Shindangdong, if you saw that video, we started at Cheonggu Station, just up right at the end of this road here at the intersection. And then off in this direction, we've got Shingunho Station. And both Cheonggu and Shingunho are on the number 5 line number 5 of the Seoul Metro network. And now we're at this park here, which is a pretty cool little park. What I like about this place is you've got this track that just runs around the whole circumference of the park, right? It just goes around the whole thing. We could go in this direction, but I always go this way. I don't know why, I just like it better. And if you go up to the top of the steps here, you get to an area where you can sit and relax, and they have some kind of field or something up there. It looks like a court. Let me see. I haven't been up here in a long time. I forgot what it looks like. Yeah, basketball court, that's what it is. Wasn't sure if it was a basketball court or a soccer field or a tennis court or what. Yeah, it's a basketball court. So yeah, you could cut through, and there's some kids playing basketball. I'm not gonna show them, but yeah, you could cut through here on both sides of the back here, but I'm not gonna do that. I am gonna walk around this way. And you see, this is just a simple little park with a simple little walking track around a small hill. So you don't have this elaborate hiking trails, but still, you see a lot of people using it. And that's just what I mean when I say that these parks they have all over are so wonderful, because people actually use them, actively use them. And I'll tell you what, if you're visiting Seoul, you might want to think about getting a hotel somewhere near a park, because I guarantee you, whether the park is big or small, that's going to be a great place for you to get up early in the morning and get some exercise done. You'll be in good company, because you'll probably see a lot of people out there in the morning, elderly people. A lot. I don't want to say it's going to be crowded, because it's certainly not, but relatively speaking, there are typically quite a few people out there in the mornings in these parks all over the city, often elderly people getting their daily morning exercise. So yeah, we'll definitely be in good company. Right, so we are out of the park now, back on the city streets, and we're going to head to the next little green section. Now, we could actually go that way and turn left, but we'll miss the next park up here. And I do want to go through that, because that is a cool little park, I think. So, just a little stretch here on the city streets, and then we'll hit the park on up ahead amongst all of these apartments up here. Yeah, this is a very heavily residential area. Lots and lots of apartments around here in this area. Yeah, so we're not far from Haengdang Station at all, which is the next stop on line 5 after Shingunho Station, and it's just keep going straight and we'll be there. And we are going to keep going straight, but we're going to turn off before we get to Haengdong Station to get into that park I was talking about.
When the road gets dark and you can no longer see, just let my love throw a spark and have a little faith in me. And when the tears you cry are all you can believe, just give these loving arms a try, baby, and have a little faith in me, and have a little faith in me, have a little faith in me, have a little faith in me, have a little faith in me. When your secret heart cannot speak so easily, call me a darling from a whisper start, to have a little faith in me. And when your back's against the wall, just turn around and you will see I will catch you fall, baby. Just have a little faith in me, 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 have a little faith.
Isn't that nice? I'll never get tired of these views of Seoul from all these different spots in and around the city. You know, this pavilion here, it is actually visible from down below there. And there were many times, you know, 30 years ago when I'd be coming through here in a taxi or driving or whatever, and I'd see this thing, and I'd always think, I need to go up there. I need to go up there and check that thing out. And I finally did, after I'd been here a little over 20 years when I came here with my wife for the first time. Yeah, there's a staircase over here that goes down this side of the hill, and that's very visible from below as well. So over there, that on the other side of Jinggang Stream, that is Seoul Forest, and that essentially is Eastern Seoul. And then over there you see the Saran Tower thing there, that is Lotte Tower. That's actually on the south side of the Han River. The river bends right over there, so it looks like it's over here in Eastern Seoul, but it's not. It's on the south side of the river, southeastern Seoul in Jamsil. And right over here you've got Achasan, Acha Mountain. That's the mountain where I took you hiking before. And yeah, the rain is picking up. Isn't that just my luck? I come out here because I want to do a rainy day walk, and it's not raining. The rain stops before I get out here, and then I get to the end of the walk, and now we get a good dollop of rain coming down. Just my luck. I want to tell you that I'm getting ready to do another Q&A. I think that's going to be my next video. So look at this. Look at this. Heavy rain now, and I don't have an umbrella. So yeah, I'm getting ready to do another Q&A video, probably my next one. Since the last Q&A, I did get a bit of a rush there of questions coming in all at once for a few weeks there. And interestingly, several of the questions were very similar, quite related. People asking things along the same lines, which I found very interesting. And so I'm gonna condense those into a couple of broader questions that I'm gonna answer. And I've got a few more also that I've picked out from emails. I think I've answered all the others in my last Q&A, and we'll see how that goes. I might pick a couple of more questions from the comments or whatever, but if you have a question that you would like me to answer for you, please go ahead and email me at qa@mikefromkorea.com, and I will reply. If you've emailed me already and you haven't seen a reply from me, check your spam folder. If it's been more than 30 days, it's probably gone if it was in your spam folder. But yeah, I reply to every email, usually within 24 hours, sometimes within 48, but never more than 72 so far. So please do check your spam folder if you email me and you don't hear from me within a couple of days. So please email me your questions. I will reply with an answer, and I may end up using it in my next Q&A video, or I might put it off until a future one. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed coming along with me today. And so that's all I have for now. Thanks for coming along with me. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Okay, so this thing here is new. You know, this wasn't here until they built that ramp, but 당신의 뱃살 안녕하십니까? I think basically that just means how is your belly fat, I guess. What's your belly fat like? How's your belly fat? And so it has, you know, 10대, 20대, 30대. This is like if you're in your teens, if you're in your 20s, your 30s. So you should be able to stand sideways and get through this. So that's pretty good. Here's the 50, and it looks like, oh my goodness, oh gosh, oh. Barely made it. Looks like I gotta lose a little bit. That was interesting.
Have a little faith.